Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my final episode of my power ranking series. For my number one team, we're going to be looking at the Buffalo Bills. All right, some quick things here. I do think Cody Ford does eventually beat out Bates for the job eventually, but there is a chance that Bates can hold him off with some good early play. I find them pretty close level. If I'm looking about like overall wise, they'd be pretty close. But I do think Ford can beat him out. And I do want to talk about Morse and Dawkins. They could potentially earn star this season. They've been kind of on the cusp, upper end level center and tackle, but they're kind of in that category right below now of just very good at their position. So I can't really say much else than that. They've played super well here. Roger Saffold was a pretty good pickup for the Bills. He definitely is going to be more comfortable at guard than Darrell Williams was at guard. Williams just seems to be way more comfortable at tackle, and I think if guard is what they're looking for, Roger Saffold can play it. He's still got all the play strength in the world, even at his age. I think getting him for the deal they got him for too was definitely a win. Spencer Brown at right tackle is a bit of a question mark. Definitely high end athlete, high end length, high end, you know, I guess you'd say ability, but there's definitely some more technical things that Spencer Brown needs to work on. Uh, but if he does get it, like this is the idea that they're going off of. If he does get it all together, that is the making of a top end tackle against every market. So maybe it works out. A lot of the time they are able to protect him too with certain ways they lean the offensive line. So I don't think it's actually going to be as big a hit as some of the other teams I've talked about a little before this. Just a quick note on Josh Allen. This is probably the strongest arm quarterback in the league. Super hard runner, hard to bring down with that size and weight. Uh, Definitely played a lot better last season. There's some games that he played rough in that you'd want a little bit better out of, but I mean he's still a star quarterback. He's still on his ascent as a quarterback too. Bills definitely made sure they paid him early, and they're not. I think they're glad now because I mean, look at what Kyler Murray's getting paid. I mean, Lamar's about to get paid too. Russell's definitely looking at what these guys just got paid, and he's looking for it from Denver next season. It's it was a lot of good moves by Buffalo Bills to get it done early, and I think it was Dable who worked mostly with Josh Allen. Maybe it was another one of the other coaches, but Allen worked really well with the coaches to develop himself and get ready for uh, all the seasons and his career trajectory in general, and it's paid off. Tons of depth here. This is part of why this team is so great. There's tons of depth here at wide receiver and running back. Like there's guys like Kumaro, Shakir, McKenzie, Hodgins, who all can fit certain roles and can fill in for certain starters here and there. There's even more guys that I could even see getting a role or having a solid game every now and then with some significant reps that I can't even mention. There's just too. There's just too many. Uh, that's one of the best things of this team. It's just they plan for depth all over. I do have to do a big note on Gary Gilliam here. He is a notable fullback. I like the athlete. I think Buffalo finally found a fullback that can fit that level of play that they've been looking for over the last little while. Uh, Tight end wise, Dawson Knox, super underrated player, very high end athlete, can block in line as well, very sure handed as well. And you also get to pair him with another very good athlete, OJ Howard. So coming out those two tight end sets now it is a threat that they have. They'll have Knox line up inside, and they'll have Howard line up more on the outside. Sometimes the hand and dirt, sometimes not. We'll see what they do, but having those two stacked to the same side definitely is a threat. That Diggs trade. Now we're gonna get to receivers. That Diggs trade might honestly be the biggest win-win for both teams in recent memory. Vikings basically got to move off a receiver who wasn't happy for a good deal. That then got them another receiver in Justin Jefferson, and then the Bills honestly get to land a true number one receiver in Diggs, who is beloved here and he loves being here. Like that's honestly the biggest win-win trade I think I can remember in recent history. Super good route runner, especially in the middle of the field. I mean, the ends are to a T. Pretty sure-handed as well. I love the way Diggs is able to just sink and break. Almost like those some of those double moves he's got are just elite. I mean, Buffalo's super happy to have him here. They should be. He's one of the best receivers in the league. I'd have him very high up there. And then you get to pair him with other guys like Jameson Crowder and Gabriel Davis, which are super fun players too. Gabriel Davis is kind of your deep threat here, stretch the field when the defense is getting too lax or is coming up too much. He's been quietly developing here behind a lot of players for a couple seasons now, and they broke him out in the playoffs, and teams just didn't know what to do with him. So it'll be fun to see how teams adjust to him getting more reps going into the season, especially with having to account for Stephon Diggs still and Jameson Crowder, who's a very underrated slot player. Played super well for the Jets over the last couple seasons. Just really, really sticky within that first kind of, how would I say, 5 to 7 yards. The way he can just like utterly stick a foot and burst off is super, super fun to watch. It's super hard to cover for most slot corners. They're going to be getting tested early and often. You're going to have to really kind of run zone to deal with Crowder, and even then, there's moments where I think he's going to take you to task on it. Running back is really the biggest weakness here, but even then, they've kind of addressed it and found ways to make these running backs work. Zach Moss is kind of like your only bruiser here. They only bring him out for that. That's kind of all they expect out of him. He's not really a high-end athlete. Doesn't really offer anything other than that, so that's completely fine by me. Devin Singletary, kind of a shorter guy, but very elusive, very good in the receiving game as well. They brought in a guy very similar to that in James Cook from Georgia, who, I mean, he's super, super fluid in receiving. I did talk about him a little bit during draft time. He plays a little lighter, but even so, the fluidity in his hips I don't think would go away even if they added some weight onto him. And Buffalo really just loves to get these receiving backs and just get them random carries, random play action, random flip them out to screens. Like they'll move them all over. So Singletary and Cook will be a real good duo in that. Defensive front seven, big signing here, and Von Miller. It's a long contract. You hope it. I don't know if Miller will play all six. I know he says he's going to, but that's a tough ask. I like him as a player, though. I like the mentality of him coming to Buffalo. He could be a piece that ends up pushing them over the edge and gets them this, that Super Bowl win I've been talking about. AJ Epinesa is sitting behind Miller. He's had some good play. He cut down some weight. That seems to have helped him a little bit, cutting down weight. But he's just going to be a rotational backup guy here. Same thing with Boogie Basham, who is the more bigger guy who can kick inside or stay outside. Very good on run defense. I loved Boogie coming out of Wake Forest. I think he's a super fun player to watch. Uh, Greg Rousseau is the current starter. I mean, the length and power that Rousseau had, especially with the youth. I mean, being so young coming to the draft, he was definitely a hot commodity near the end of the first, and I loved the Bills picking him up. I think he fits exactly what they were looking for this, very powerful edge player. And maybe he can learn a little bit more of the technical stuff from Von Miller coming in, who got to learn his stuff from Ware beforehand, and it's been just a continuous cycle of guys learning stuff from each other from being on the same team. So I love the depth here and the different styles of play at edge, and I think they can answer a lot of different questions offenses will pose these edge players. Linebackers. Matt Milano is still one of the best cover linebackers in the league. Was had a bit of a quieter season last year. I think it's because mostly he was just taking away guys, not massive interceptions or anything like that. I think it was a very good deal that he got with the Bills. Edmonds is still young and lengthy here. You hope it puts together eventually. He's got all the tools in the world. It just needs to all come together. So he's an okay current starter, but he can get taken out of position a lot. Drafting Bernard here is kind of the idea that they're looking for that third safety or the replacement level safety. I wasn't overly high on him, but there is some traits here I can see why the Bills were willing to take Bernard as early as they did. So we'll see if it works out for them. There's some good stuff there. Now on the D line, there's also depth galore. Ed Oliver, more of your pass rushing specialist. Then you got Taquan Jones, that's more of your nose tackle. You also have Jordan Phillips there, the other nose tackle, but that nose tackle has a bit of a pass rush upside. Tim Settle could also play some nose or play some 3 tech. He's got actually super sweet and fluid feet, coming for an interior guy who's pretty big, so he offers some pass rush in the interior as well as run defending, like most of these other guys behind Oliver. They really, again, it's more of just they have answers for everything. They've really invested a lot in the edge and D line play here at Buffalo over the last few seasons, and it continued into this season. I think it's done them wonders and really helped elevate that base level of play. Defensive backs, lots of fun stuff here. Possibly the best safety duo still in the league. Definitely struggled when they faced the Chiefs, though. I had to knock them a little on that, but I think together they definitely still deserve that star in Hyde and Poyer. Hyde, I think, is one of my more favorite guys who's still kicking around, but Poyer, I think, still definitely has some pretty strong ability playing as that strong safety role. They gave Hyde a little bit longer deal, so they're not in stacked at the same contract anymore. One will go before the other. But I mean, I don't even know what we can say. I mean, tons of hybrid looks you could do with these safeties. You could have one come play nickel if you really needed to. They play double high very well in cover two. They're again, I think they're possibly the best safety combo in the league. Tre'Davious White, you're getting him back. That is incredible. You're extremely excited to see that. He's one of the better corners in the league, super fluid. Plays man and zone with that same level of fluidity. Like there's no break in different styles of play. I don't know. I think getting White back here also might help push them over. You still have Dane Jackson sitting behind them, who also is a bit of a fun, fluid player. Teron Johnson, they gave him an extension to play slot here, and he showed that that has been pretty much worth it. I was a little surprised they did it so early, but honestly, I can't blame them when it seems to be getting them really good nickel play. And then on top of that, they drafted one of my favorite corners in the draft in Kyer Elam, who's again very sturdy level of play. I think very underrated when it comes to the actual technique of his game. I was surprised. I don't know if it was like maybe prospect fatigue. It could have very well been prospect fatigue on why he wasn't getting as much hype as some of the other players, but I think he was definitely one of the better corners in this draft. And I think getting him here to pair with these guys is also super clever because Elam, with the length that he has, if you get a taller or bigger receiver that's giving you some issues, you can just stick Elam on him instead and be like, all right, Trey White, go take something else away. And then it gets really hard to move the ball against this secondary. So I love a lot of what was done here. A lot of the guys are either coming back or were just drafted. So I think the level of play of the secondary will increase going into next season. So while losing Brian Dable still sucks, I think the coaching talent here is still fantastic. Frazier on defense does really well keeping this a bend, don't break defense that really just punishes mistakes on offense instead of trying to play very aggressive and force them to happen. You also have Dorsey here now who runs this offense to a point where it's aiming to wear you down and just force a lot of these West Coast defenses to make mistakes and just almost break them. You also have Smiley as well, who's put up relatively good special teams numbers as well. I think, honestly, all in all, I love every single coordinator that is taking a job here. So I think losing Brian Dable might not hurt as much as it theoretically could have. The actual special teamers themselves, Tyler Bass is a pretty good young kicker, definitely a hell of a leg, and you need it for the snowy conditions. Then we have a punter battle off here by a rookie and Matt Ariaza, and you have Matt Hack, who's been a bit of a veteran here now. We'll have to see who wins out. I'm curious. I think they probably, I mean, rookie punters and kickers do struggle earlier coming in, so it lowers their actual ability. But I'll be curious to see who wins it. I think a punter battle in preseason could be a lot of fun. So the biggest issue here is that maybe Dorsey changes up a little bit how the offense is operated now that he's got full control and Dable's not here. But that honestly could either be for the best or for the worst, or he keeps that standard level of play keep going. I mean, the biggest question mark is, I guess, how now that Dable's gone, how does Dorsey really do? And I think Dorsey will do just fine. Honestly, I think he'll be pretty good. And Sean McDermott's been just an excellent CEO kind of type of head coach, keeping the team together, making very solid decisions, working well with the front office. I think the coaching staff here in general is just a huge win for Buffalo. All right, the team is built for now and for the future. I don't really see any like drastic weaknesses. Really, the worst there is for this team is that maybe you have some questions at right guard slash right tackle on how it will play. It's really more or less a an idea on consistency rather than talent. And basically, what does Brian Dable's exit mean for the team? I really like the odds of this team playing strong in the playoffs, and they match up well against most offensive and defensive schemes they're going to be facing. I think it would be a pretty significant collapse that would have to happen for this team to not be making a case for a Super Bowl push. That being said, I hope you guys really enjoyed the series. It took a lot of time to organize these teams, especially with moves happening during the series, before and after I've filmed these episodes. You'll be getting into some more stuff later on. Hopefully more casual stuff as we get on, so not as critically analytic, but I'll be doing a bit of both as well. But as the season gets on, I'll be talking more or less about what's gonna be going on during the season. But for now, I want you to enjoy the beginning of the NFL season, and I will see you all next time. Later.